On November 17th, 2023, four members of OpenAI's six-person board convened a Google Meet and fired Sam Altman with roughly 15 minutes of notice. The stated reason: he had not been consistently candid with them. Within hours, the company's chief technology officer Mira Murati was named interim CEO.
Sam Altman, the powerful face of artificial intelligence and ChatGPT, suddenly fired on Friday as CEO of OpenAI, just 2 weeks after making this bold promise.
As intelligence gets integrated everywhere, we will all have superpowers on demand.
His dismissal by OpenAI's nonprofit board shocked Silicon Valley. The company said it lost confidence in Altman, that he was not consistently candid in his communications with the board.
Within 5 days, Altman was reinstated with a reconstituted board stripped of nearly everyone who'd voted him out. The thesis here is straightforward. Altman didn't survive the coup. He won it.
After 5 days of chaos, ChatGPT maker OpenAI reinstates Sam Altman as its CEO. This company currently is leading the artificial intelligence AI.
And the fact that he won it, that employees, capital markets, and institutional momentum overrode the only mechanism designed to check his power, should concern you more than any product OpenAI ships. Sam Altman became president of the startup accelerator Y Combinator in 2014, the youngest person to hold that role. A year later, he co-founded OpenAI alongside Elon Musk, Greg Brockman, and Ilya Sutskever as a nonprofit research lab with an unusual structure: a capped profit subsidiary whose oversight remained with a non-profit board. The architecture was deliberate. Artificial general intelligence, if achieved, would be the most consequential technology in human history. Capital would pour in, incentives would warp. So they built a kill switch, a board independent of investors, independent of revenue, empowered to fire the CEO if the mission drifted. In November 2023, they tried, and the break disintegrated on contact. By October 2023, OpenAI was valued at $86 billion. Microsoft had committed over $13 billion in capital. ChatGPT had become the fastest growing consumer application in history, reaching 100 million users in 2 months, according to a UBS study published in February 2023. Altman was the public face of the AGI race, testifying before the Senate Judiciary Committee on May 16, 2023, courting regulators, pitching a future where OpenAI threads the needle between capability and caution. Behind the scenes, the nonprofit board grew uneasy. The company was no longer a research lab. It was a commercial juggernaut competing directly with Google, Meta, and Anthropic. And Altman, according to the board's terse statement, had not been consistently candid with them about something. The specifics remain disputed, but the pattern was clear enough to four board members that they acted. The 5 days that followed revealed who held actual power. Mira Murati, elevated to interim CEO within hours of the firing, sided with staff. So did nearly the entire company. Over 700 of OpenAI's roughly 770 employees signed an open letter threatening to quit and follow Altman to Microsoft unless the board resigned. Satya Nadella, Microsoft's CEO, publicly offered Altman a new AI research division at Microsoft if reinstatement failed. That offer was leverage incarnate. OpenAI without its staff was an empty shell. OpenAI without Microsoft's compute infrastructure and capital was inoperable. The board had formal authority. Altman had alignment with the people who built the models, the capital that funded them, and the distribution that monetized them. Ilya Sutskever, the chief scientist who had been one of the 4 votes to oust Altman, recanted on November 20th. His statement was unambiguous. I deeply regret my participation in the board's actions. I never intended to harm OpenAI. That defection collapsed whatever legitimacy remained. By November 22nd, Altman was reinstated. The new board consisted of Brett Taylor, former co-CEO of Salesforce, Larry Summers, former Treasury Secretary and Harvard president, and Adam D'Angelo, CEO of Quora, the sole survivor from the original six. Everyone else was gone. Not fired, not overruled, simply replaced by a structure more conducive to the outcome the organization's material interests demanded. This was not a coup that failed. It was a stress test that revealed the kill switch was ornamental. The nonprofit board held de jure power, but de facto power resided with those who could credibly threaten to leave and rebuild elsewhere. Employees could exit en masse. Microsoft could redirect investment.
Altman and his co-founder then scooped up by OpenAI's biggest investor, Microsoft, with most of the 700 OpenAI employees vowing to walk too.
Altman could take institutional knowledge, key personnel, and market credibility to a competitor. The board could pull the lever, but the lever was connected to nothing. When tested, it evaporated in 5 days. What should disturb you is not that Altman is malicious. There is no evidence he is. What should disturb you is that the original structure of OpenAI presumed that at some juncture, someone would need to say no to the person driving the enterprise, that growth and safety would conflict, and when they did, an independent body with formal authority would intervene. November 2023 proved that authority was fictive. The board exercised its one meaningful power, removing the CEO, and the organization's immune system destroyed the board in response. This is the governance model now scaling towards systems capable of rewriting code bases, manipulating media, automating persuasion, and eventually, if the roadmap holds, reasoning at or beyond human level across domains. The people building it are serious. The people funding it are serious, but the checks are decorative. The board that replaced the old one includes Brett Taylor, Larry Summers, and Adam D'Angelo, but they were selected in the aftermath of a failed attempt to constrain all. The incentive is to never again trigger the kind of crisis that nearly collapsed the enterprise. Altman testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee on May 16, 2023, that he wants OpenAI to proceed carefully, that he takes existential risk seriously.
Spend some time with you. I think if this technology goes wrong, it can go quite wrong, and we want to be vocal about that. We want to work with the government to prevent that from happening, but we try to be very clear-eyed about what the downside case is and the work that we have to do.
That he believes in red teams, safety research, and regulatory engagement. Accept all of that as sincere. The problem is structural, not personal. When your organization is valued at $86 billion, when your largest partner has invested $13 billion and is in a death match with Google for AI supremacy, when 700 employees are prepared to walk if you're removed, your latitude to slow down evaporates. You're no longer steering. You are being steered by forces larger than intention. The question is not whether Sam Altman is a good actor. The question is whether good actors, absent enforceable constraint, can resist the gradient. November 2023 answered that. The one body with the authority to impose constraint tried, and within 5 days it was gone. What remains is a CEO with more power, less oversight, and a demonstrated proof that the forces aligned behind him, capital, labor, and competitive pressure, are stronger than any board. If that doesn't concern you more than the models themselves, you have misunderstood what happened.